record.
Whoa. Yes, it has. All right. Well, welcome, Chuck.
Well, thank
It's been
you.
a long time since we've seen you.
Yes, I think it is.
All right, so we've got everybody here, we've got a quorum, so we can go ahead and get started. So, did you guys get a chance to read the minutes? Any errors or corrections? If not, we need a motion to approve, please.
So I moved to approve the minutes.
Okay, thank you, Larry.
No corrections?
No corrections. Okay, we need a second?
Second.
Thank you. All right, we have first and second, all those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Just like this, here you go.
Thank you.
All right, we don't have any public hearings. Okay, we got Chuck on the agenda here to talk about Robert's house. So, is that,
Yeah, I just want to say first and foremost for Chuck, we have, some other business on the agenda, so we just put you first. If you need to say that all afterwards, feel free. If you want to stick around.
Do you want me to read this before I comment on it?
No, it's okay. So, ultimately, Chuck, we've been trying to get you in since you, Steve, and Linda went out to the Roberts house. So we'll kind of talk about that first, and then, with the Roberts house, Steve, Linda, and I kind of trade some emails back and forth. And, we, as far as the city is concerned, thought it'd be a good idea to create a to-do list for the Roberts house, and that's what was included within your guys' packet. So we can kind of let Chuck go first.
When you say we created a list, is that we as in you and Karen or the
Correct.
actual city?
Karen and I.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is that here someplace, the to-do list?
Yes, sir. Yep. So that was attached, the Woodland Park Historic Preservation Roberts House to-do list. So this doesn't go into specifics. So however you guys want to, skin this cat as far as going over the to-do list first, we can do that. Or, ultimately, since we have Chuck here, I would like to kind of go over what you guys did see at the Roberts house, and because you guys did go inside and your experience there and your initial thoughts, Chuck, from a historic preservation architect standpoint.
Yes, the one big thing I want not forget to mention the roof is that the metal roof is about to fall off on that building. It needs to be screwed down.
Here, I
really fast.
notified them that day.
Okay, good, thank you.
City maintenance decided it was too dangerous to go up there to fix. So that's why it's still left as a hazard. And just from a liability point of view, when we were out there, if that thing had flown off, all three of us could have lost our heads.
Or
So
somebody
it's a
driving down the
serious
highway, it's a bad
liability.
deal. It needs to be fixed. They can't ignore that.
Serious liability. I mean, when we chose to stand upwind because we didn't want to.
And that's the
get
barn
injured.
structure.
The barn,
correct?
yeah.
Mhm.
So when the maintenance, when the city told us at the last meeting that it's too dangerous to fix, does that mean the city is just, oh, well, it's
No,
just gonna rot away?
no, what Karen shared with us was the next time they dealt with you guys as subcontractor, a roofing subcontractor, you would talk to them about it, I believe. But there was nothing on the horizon of when that would occur. Is that correct, Karen?
That is correct.
It should be a priority. Someone's gonna get hurt and it's gonna be all the city's
And
liability.
besides all that, those issues, all the moisture is getting in there and it was totally dry in there.
Mhm.
And so now there's a lot of debris in there, so the debris is gonna get wet and stay wet and start rotting the floor out.
Okay.
Can you take
But the
that?
bigger concern is the
The
liability.
safety, yeah, that could blow up on the highway.
Yeah,
Yeah.
cause a
2 seconds
massive
and
car.
somebody could get killed on that.
CJ's gonna take it as an action.
Yeah,
Keep
That's a
working on
bad
it.
deal.
Okay,
yeah.
so having said.
So,
that-
yeah, just-
Yeah, we.
Good.
How dangerous is it?
Very. It's a piece of sheet metal.
It's a big sheet, that's
It's just a
10,
big.
12 feet long,
I
3
mean, if that
feet.
thing went flying, it could.
It's the corrugated metal and some of those, they're 2.5 feet wide typically.
Maybe by
And
4 feet, 4 or 6 feet.
But are the rafters holding it up?
No,
Can't
it's
you-
flopping.
It's just,
Well,
it was flopping.
It was
and
tacked on
It's
around.
The screws are gone or pulled
Really?
out or something, and It's only a matter of time before it goes on the highway.
That's, especially as windy as it gets. Now, from now
And as
until.
much traffic as there is.
And it could cause a major pileup. People,
They're
there's
get-
just
they're
very high
dangerous.
probability of somebody getting hurt.
You wanna go fix it, CJ? I
Yeah.
got scaffolding and.
Yeah, you got some
I
scaffolding.
got a bunch of it. Sweet. But I don't know.
Sponsored
is it
by,
possible?
sponsored by Rampart Surveys?
Yeah. No, yeah, working comp plan. What is it really, I mean, can you get it up there?
Yeah,
Is it-
the uphill side, the highway side is 8 feet off the ground or something.
And
then you
there's
climb up on
rafters
the roof.
underneath the sheet metal, so
Solid
you could
rafters.
get up
You
there.
can get up there and
just-
screw it down. I don't know what the big deal
Well,
is.
well,
Especially with the
Is it-
liability.
why can't we do that?
It's
I don't know.
the city.
It's a major-
The
it's a
city
major-
owns the building.
Am I allowed to do it? If I sneak over there in the middle of the night? No?
The
Then
city
it's your
is not
fault if it
liable
comes
for your
off, and
injuries.
You get in trouble. It's
Yeah.
your fault if it comes off and you get
Yeah.
in trouble. so.
But as far as an action item, I'll keep working on the director over there, so.
I mean, just really it reiterates the danger.
Okay.
And it's all gonna fall on the city if that thing goes flying off and somebody gets hurt, so.
Either.
Or if a horse is riding down the old road and it flies off and spooks the horse.
It's scary, yeah.
Anyway, the rest of the cabin, I guess that's. It was interesting to see it. I hadn't read the asbestos report until you sent that to me later. I would think now the committee has to decide what the goal of that building is gonna be, what its final use is gonna be.
Which in turn means the city has to.
Yeah, the city has to, okay. So if there's not a specific use for it, I'm thinking that maybe we just do a cosmetic exterior restoration and call it good. We saw people walking on the hiking trail out there with their dogs, which is cool. And they were parking over in some utilities substation over there in the south of Walmart. Probably not supposed to be parking over there. I would imagine that there should be 3, 4, 5, 6 parking spaces, a little bit of connection to the trail that's already there, and a nice sign, and allow people to park there and use the trail. And then have some really nice kiosks telling the history of the Roberts house. I would imagine there's been several additions on the outside. I think we need to come up with a period of significance and take off some that's not significant to that period. And just do the windows, the roof, door, walls, and chink it, rechink it, let it be,
Just lock it up.
lock it up.
And what I like about that idea, what I like about Chuck's idea is, we all kind of came up with that while we were out there, is that it also buys us a little time. You know, if we fix the structure, close it up, then if the city in a longer term goal wants to do something, they can. But if we go inside, you're doing the plumbing, the electrical, the heating, you're doing everything. If it becomes a visitor center, you're gonna have to convert it to a commercial use, and it's just a litany of things that have to be done that would be so cost prohibitive from the current city's budgeting outlooks, that it just would never happen. I don't think it would ever happen.
Exactly right, yeah. Because as soon as we put people in there, now we have to conform to the building code. That includes a foundation and a floor system and heating and plumbing and toilets, and the budget just goes exploding at that point. That's where we're facing in the Divide Depot. That's actually a loosely called museum or exhibit space and separate toilet facilities, but we still had to redesign the floor and a foundation system on that at great expense.
Is that the one over on the Teller one?
It's right by the sheriff's office there. This side
As
of
you're
the
going
sheriff's
to
office.
Divide, it's on the
Yeah.
left-hand side.
Okay, gotcha.
So they had a use for the inside of the building that they really needed now. The city doesn't have a use for the inside of the structure. Just
So
thinking
we're
that.
talking.
And a perimeter, an exterior shell.
We'll take
So we're
that
talking
addition.
Cosmetic.
stabilization right now.
To some extent,
rather
you know,
than-
we'll never get the foundation stabilized without giant amount of money.
Mhm,
Maybe we just leave it for a while.
Mhm.
I
mhm.
don't think.
You know, it does fit into the parks, trails, and open space
Mhm,
as already defined, and on the trails that it's already on.
mhm,
So it's something that can be capitalized on, the
mhm.
building get preserved. And at least do it up to that point.
Mhm. And then maybe at some point, the city decides to put some restrooms there, so, so that, and it becomes a picnic ground or, other things, but at the very least, the buildings can be saved. And there's no reason why Hildred can't put her furniture on the inside, people just look at it through the windows. I mean, I've been to museums like that, where you just look through, and just look in, but,
Yeah, when I go to the Hornbeck cabin, I suppose it's open sometimes, but I always just peek through the window to see
mhm,
what's in there.
mhm,
And they have a little portable outhouse thing outside in the parking lot.
mhm.
It's fine. Yeah. Oh, but anything to do inside, I think the asbestos probably should be dealt with. We should
Mhm.
probably have that all abated.
mhm.
Even if we do a cosmetic restoration, there'll be people inside fooling with the windows or the doors or the roof. The asbestos needs to be gone first thing, I would think.
So,
So,
go ahead.
so we're looking like maybe resigning to like, maybe a 20-year project, say, for example? Is that what we're saying?
It doesn't have to be.
It's all on money.
It's all
It's
on,
on money.
well, it's the support from the city. We just need the support from the city, because, I want to go back to the structural assessment grant, that $15,000 grant. Is that something that you would be able to use those funds to kind of establish? What do they require when we're doing a structural assessment? Is it window replacement, roof replacement, asbestos abatement? I mean, would that be included in what you do with a structural assessment grant?
The ones I've done before are just assessing the existing conditions. We don't propose solutions to fix anything.
But you basically say asbestos.
The window,
needs to be
yeah, there's
removed.
asbestos here. That window is broken and it's not historic and it needs to be replaced or something.
Yeah.
So, yeah, the asbestos report is part of it.
Yeah,
But we talk about plumbing, electrical, foundation, mechanical, the roof, exterior skin, anything that we can define as the existing conditions
mhm.
is what we report on. It's photographs and a little text with
Yeah.
each one.
Isn't that kind of a stepping stone to the next level of grant
Yeah,
application?
well, then you can say, okay, now like in the Deep Road Divide, we can say that we need a roof. That's what we're doing this summer, sort of roof line. So that historic structure assessment decided that the roof was bad and needed to be replaced. So that's phase 2.
And then you
step two
go,
on that.
and so because it was
Already
established
established, that was done,
yeah.
yeah. Or we did the foundation years ago.
so there's still value in us applying for that structural assessment grant.
Yeah,
Because that money from the state, if we did get awarded that grant, would pay for, you would just do as-built. Is that right?
Yeah.
Right,
as-built, but a written report too. There's a,
okay.
it's a document,
Right.
written report as to what.
And that's the
And
same
it's a
thing.
little building, maybe it's smaller, but
So.
it's a written document.
So with that assessment, do you do like scope of work for next steps and provide CVs for that type of work?
Not in the historic
That's the
assessment.
second, that's the
next
second,
phase.
that's the
That's
next
a-
grant.
So,
That's a planning grant.
Yeah.
We plan to do what's
okay,
next.
so we need the structural.
We need the structural assessment because we applied for the planning grant and they,
Yes.
because we didn't take the proper steps prior to the planning grant.
So,
But we're still wondering, can we fill out the application for the city for the structural assessment grant like we did with the last grant?
Right.
And you guys still review it and everything, but we'll at least get it. Are you still willing to do that?
Oh, yeah. And
Right, and we'll talk about that when we get through
Okay.
the to-do list.
Okay.
I have that on there.
I have a question though. I know it's a different county, but in Park County, the story and a half 1875 log cabin that was moved to the community park, the county granted us permission to just pour our own foundation, put her own floor in and nothing, it was exempt from building codes because it was a historical structure is what they told us. So there's no subfloor, there's no, not, there's floor joists, but they're only yay high off the ground. There's a foundation that was poured that we just Mickey Mouse some, forms around it and poured, and so there was a blowout, but that we left it, and, it's, why are we able to do that there?
Is the inside of that building usable? Is there people
Yes,
occupying
it's-
that thing?
Not overnight, but it's open to the public 24/7, all year long. It's fully furnished in there with all kinds of stuff in there. Nobody has stolen one thing in the 20 years it's been there now, wide open. But my point is that there's people, the school takes classes of children in there, tourists stop in there, and we never had to abide by any code because it was a historical building according to Park County.
Well, you answered your own question. It was 20 years ago. Things have changed.
Yeah, we have different building departments, Park County Building Department versus
This
Pikes
is
Peak
Pikes-
Regional.
This is Pikes Peak Regional, yeah.
It's a safety deal. When we put people in there, they need to know the floor is not gonna collapse, or there is exiting and proper lighting and ventilation, all that stuff has to be accounted for. This is life safety issues, which doesn't seem like much in a little cabin, I get it, but they don't discriminate.
Yeah, I
It's a
think it's just
building,
the timing.
it's a safety thing.
Park County's always done things kind of different, but the fact that it was Park County 20 years ago,
Yeah. Okay.
probably.
In the historic building code, there's some special exceptions to it that you have to play the game with to make it work on it. But the starting point always is that the structure is wanted to be safe by a licensed design professional on that. So whatever work it would take for verify the roof and floor structure would be the initial requirement to go with that. After that, you can just say, like you mentioned, what's the use? Well, if it's nothing more than what constitutes, it falls in the same category in the International Building Code as amusement structures and tents and things like that that don't have the plumbing or electrical portion put with it. But it's only a special use. What gets tricky there after that then is a temporary or a permanent structure. So it's all about finding an acceptable definition for the whole thing, following the code through. The structure's always in anybody's department, first thing.
So could we change the use of what we think and just where it wouldn't require plumbing and electricity for visitors to enter?
Maybe you can find a way to do that. It's just not, I mean, it's like getting a permit for a gazebo in a sense. You don't have anything there that facilitates things. You just have to cover the life safety portion of it. Starts with the asbestos, that the structure isn't gonna hurt anybody. And be repaired and replaced as necessary to accomplish that. Then, order would be, that's something to further discuss after the structural assessment. One thing that would be great to have them doing there, and you kind of started that, is a good set of as-built drawings, because anybody talking about this doesn't know how big it is or what they're dealing with. So that'd be very, very important, and I would go with Chuck doing a demo plan that includes removal of non-historic aspects.
Any non-contributing additions?
And I imagine part of what happened in Park, was there state money used for that?
Lottery funds?
Okay, GOCO money, but,
Mhm.
once you get into state historic preservation money, they got their own rules.
Yeah,
It
no, I
might
didn't
be
get anything.
added on to Parks County rules.
Yeah.
But if you're not giving that money, then that whole set of rules can go away.
The county would get their GOCO funds and disperse it as
Okay,
how they wanted to.
yeah.
So we are at a point of deciding to do the assessment.
I've been wanting to do the assessment since I learned about it at Saving Places. Just need to get that grant application in, and we can do that anytime. You don't have to wait.
It's a rolling thing.
It's a rolling, there's no time frame.
And if that's something Kimberly would like to work with us on, she's more than welcome. I would really invite her to.
Yeah.
Make it a trio.
Yeah, I mean, I think since we kind of know what's there now and, you guys went out there, we can, if you guys want to, I have everyone's packet here, the to-do list. And as you can see, the watermark says draft. None of this is in concrete, it's not the 10 Commandments here. I definitely want notes or things to change around and work on. So the ultimate goal, so when Karen and I met, what's the ultimate goal of, what we want? So feel free to change this, but this is kind of what we have. So it's preserve the Roberts House building in anticipation for future uses. So
What page are you
I don't have page numbers. It's just.
on? I say it. I got it.
So attached with this to-do list was the Parks and Trails open space map from the city's Parks, Trails, and Open Space Master Plan, which was adopted in July of 23. So the map identifies the Roberts House property as future trailhead and is located along the American Discovery Trail and Meat Pass Trail that will connect to the Ring Peak Trail. So I think that's definitely very important to keep in mind because, obviously people have identified this area for a future trailhead and this was done, back in 23. So as far as the first steps goes, meet with History Colorado to receive buy-in on this next steps. I think this doesn't have to be very formal. It's not going to take a long time. I think it's just a quick email to Ann and Winter, who we met with at Saving Places, saying, hey, we hear you guys. We're taking your feedback. This is our next steps. I think that's going to be a quick thing.
Mm-hmm.
Number 2 is identify the period of significance for the house itself and the individual additions. So per the state feedback from the grant application that we did in 24, so A, B, C, and D were direct feedback that we received from the state in writing or during that meeting that we had when Linda and Steve were on too. So the biggest thing to hit on this one, I think, is the period of significance. They talked about that quite a bit. So, and I didn't mean to call you out, Steve, on this, on D here, but in the notes, I think you were talking to Ann on this topic. So I think before we really do anything, fill out any application, that's the most important thing is the period of significance. Because, what are we preserving to? We need to figure out that period of significance of what we want to preserve to.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So once we,
With that task?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I can tell you right now, it is 1919 to, I want to say 1930, and then they sold it to Legions, their relatives in Green Mountain Falls, and don't carve that in stone. I have to look at my records to be sure of those dates, but it's somewhere like that.
okay,
That William and his wife farm there.
right. So, and when we did meet with the state at Saving Places and during the grant follow-up application meeting, it seems to me they're always very receptive of just call us, meet with us. Let's talk about this before you guys submit applications because we don't want to put the cart before the horse this time around, and we want to ensure confidence that we're going to get the structural assessment grant and planning grant and on and on and on. So that's why this number 3 is to meet with History Colorado and obtain written confirmation of the period of significance. We want them to buy in on this. That's perfect. We want it to be 1919 through 1930. So number 4 is create a scope of work based on the identified period of significance. So this is, what additions will be removed, if any. Are the additions historic in their own right? That type of thing. So, and last time we talked about the building being weather tight if we do the asbestos abatement and there's holes holes in the roof, we just don't want to leave that open and have it rain and snowed on, things like that. So this is where I started making edits already on number 5. Obtain estimate from Chuck for the cost to prepare the as-built and construction drawings. CD. So to me, this needs to be separate steps. First is the as-built drawings. And then afterwards, so the as-built drawings is going to be with the structural assessment grant, and then because once we get to this step, we're already going to have a scope of work and all this stuff, then CDs will come during the planning grant. Okay, so I can make some edits on that as far as, to me, do you guys agree that needs to be 2 separate steps?
Mhm.
Okay. So on number 6, I already changed, apply for, instead of planning grant, it will say structural assessment grant. Because Chuck, so like we talked about, and I'm sure as you know, this is a max of $15,000, right? So, and we're not asking you to spend your, time and money on this, but just like a general swag of like, hey, if you guys get this grant for $15,000, then it's going to be covered. You know what I mean? Because we don't want to get the structural assessment grant and say, oh, hey, we have 15,000. You're like, oh, it's going to be 30, right? And then the city has to shell out 15 extra. I don't know. You guys have any thoughts on that?
When I've done these before, I have an engineer, MEP engineer, mechanical plumbing engineer. They do their little part of it.
Okay.
Because sometimes buildings have working infrastructure in them, sometimes they don't. But even if they're not, I usually get somebody to come in, do their little part of it.
Right.
Could be the same with the structure, foundation and roof we're talking about mostly.
So it's multiple.
But I get a
disciplines.
structural engineer
Right.
to do their portion of it too.
Mhm.
So there's other people involved in all this, even though I assemble all their documents and put it into one
Okay.
document. And yeah, you're right, the as-built drawings are part of it.
Right.
So are you asking Chuck to prepare a bid for you? Of the
No, I
proposal?
mean, so in number 6 too, so after the grant is awarded, the city is, a government entity and has to do its procurement process, right? So we would have to go through that process to receive like an actual bid.
From at least, at two is enough, or do you need to have 3?
I don't want to give you the wrong information. So I just don't know.
So at some point Chuck would have to prepare a fee proposal.
Correct.
So would you do it as an RFP or something?
I'm sorry, yeah, it's above my head there.
Does that prevent us from starting the application process while you guys are working out those kinks? As far as who's
Mm-hmm.
gonna get that money?
No, I don't believe so. I think the biggest thing before starting the application process for the structural assessment grant is to hit some of these first,
Mhm.
right? As far as amending these next steps, taking it off to the city, meeting with the state, with the History Colorado, and I definitely want you guys on that call, specifically Steve, to talk about that period of significance, get them bought in on that,
Mhm.
and then that's when we can start that grant application.
And then simultaneously you'll start requesting
Well,
fee
yeah, I think,
proposals.
right, yeah, and I'll double check to see if we can start that simultaneously, or we have to wait for the money to be in our hands or not, I just don't know.
Okay.
Does the city know we're doing this?
Yeah,
I mean, the city
I mean,
council,
Karen,
not just yourself, but, the inner workings of the city realize what we're talking
yeah, I
about.
mean, Karen has, I don't know how often, bi-weekly meetings with Aaron, and,
Okay.
yeah, his one's drived in, yeah,
Okay.
so.
So to add on to Larry's question, the city wants this structure saved and wants to utilize it?
I would say that decision has already been made because they did vote to designate it as a historic structure, and city council already did that,
And
so.
it's in the master plan that's been approved.
Oh,
Parks,
okay.
trails and open space, and
So-
said as a trailhead, that would be a
Okay.
potential use. So I'd say
They committed themselves to
something.
Yeah, for sure.
doing something with it.
So we have in here a 10% city
City
match. So of the 15,000 for that grant,
Correct.
it's 13,500 for the grant and then 1,500 from the city?
Say that again?
Well, to get to 15,000,
Right,
Yeah,
right,
so-
yes,
13,500 plus 1,500.
correct, yes.
So we got to make sure
That 1,500,
100,
yeah, and I wish I had this pulled up, but, and the, historic preservation. I'm just pulling up the signed budget worksheet here that we approved in October of last year. Let's see. So, this is messed up on my computer here. On the 2025 budget proposal, which was signed, so this is, in effect right now for 2025, we have the Junction House asbestos abatement, and we allocated the 2025 budget for that was, that's a big number, 11,900.
that was that carryover number from the previous year.
Right.
So there's, I think Aaron had committed to the fact that there would be monies.
Correct.
So theoretically, the 1,500 could come out of that. That's my understanding.
I understand that as well.
Okay,
Yes.
so we're okay there.
Yep.
So the question though, also for Chuck is, can he put together what we're asking for the $15,000?
I think that's what we were just talking about, that, that CJ just said, that not only Chuck can respond to a request for proposal from the city, they're gonna have 2 or 3 people.
And has Chuck been able to examine it enough at this point to answer that question?
Well, Chuck,
I know enough about the building yet. to give
yeah,
you a
'cause-
proposal.
and he's.
No, I may have to get a mechanical or a structural guy in there to take the plans to see, get a number from them.
Yeah, so he might have to get fees from other people
Yeah.
besides himself.
And during our initial meetings with History Colorado too, we can ask these questions of like, from their perspective, do we need anything like from Chuck in that structural assessment application as well? Because that's
The other
one
question
thing.
for him is, do they need more than one applicant with proven
Yeah,
credentials?
Exactly.
With it all.
Experience.
So those are
And with the
questions
matching
that,
funds as well, the city has a cap to spend small amounts without competitive proposals.
exactly.
yeah, because when we met with History Colorado at Saving Places,
Mhm.
they did not say, they said David and I couldn't do it. They did not
That was a little
say,
loose though, Linda, because we let them know that you were also on our board.
but that's why we can't do it.
Right.
But they did not, the History Colorado at that time did not say it was needed to be a competitive bid. So that would only be,
Our
the
procurement
city.
process. I know. I know.
they can't.
So-
And you're right, they do ask for me for credentials for historic work. There's a page I have that
Okay.
has historic projects on it. I
Gotcha.
don't know if anybody ever looks at it, but it's one of the submittal requirements.
Okay.
But if the city does require a competitive bid, but I think David, you had mentioned before that there's cap funds. If you're going to have to do that, you need to have everybody bidding the same thing. So if Chuck's already feels it necessary to bring a structural and a mechanical and whatever assessment in, then everybody needs to provide those same services. Because if the architect down the street decides he wants to do it himself, then their fee's gonna be potentially lower, but not equal.
Yeah. Well, and I know the city, we don't always look at like, oh, he's the lowest. We're going, it's just not the way it works. So,
But they definitely will require 2 or 3 bids.
Yeah.
and again, I just don't know, Steve.
He's got to CJ's going to find
Does
out.
Karen know?
I'm not sure. Karen, are you on?
Yeah, I'm listening. Hello. Nice to see you guys this afternoon. I assume you can hear me okay?
Yep.
Perfect.
Okay. Yeah, when you're applying for grants like this, it's kind of a weird little dance as you guys are identifying, and you know, the hands are waving, your feet are moving too, I guarantee it. So part of it is that initial kind of swag that we're asking for. So approximately how much do we think a project like this would run? So we know roughly what we're asking for by way of grant funds. And to my knowledge, it's a grant award up to $15,000. The city is then matching 10% on top of that. Is my understanding that their maximum award is 15. So there's a city match on top of that. So it gives you a little extra money. If the project is costing $20,000 and they're awarding 15, the city has to make up that whole balance. So we're in in excess of the minimum 10% match at that point
Of the project total.
of the project. So,
Yeah.
so you kind of need to know like what you're asking for as part of filling out that whole grant application and stuff. One of the strict requirements that's typical with grants is you cannot do any work on the project prior to the award happening. Because then they're thinking you don't need the money because you've gone ahead and started work without it. So yeah, nothing happens on the project itself prior to the grant award. And then after it's awarded, we're still limited by the city's purchasing policies. And I don't remember exactly what the thresholds are, but it is probably ideally 3 bids that we would need to get from qualified professionals to potentially do the work. And then the city has that ability to pick the best value. So sometimes your lowest is not always the best value for the project. So that's how that all shakes out.
Thank you.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
So, and on this page 2 of 2 so on number 6 is what I'm looking at. So again, as far as my notes go, I think I'll split this up a little bit. So apply for assessment grant for the funds and get out of their construction drawings to return the structure to, those will be the construction drawings as far as return the structure to identified period of significance and abate the asbestos. So this number 6 really is just apply for the structural assessment grant.
And real quickly related to that, CJ, I believe the state calls them planning grants that can be used for these types of assessments of the building. So I think that's where that term comes from and as to why we put planning grant down on this to-do list.
Okay. That makes sense. And then, so that's 6A. So after the grant is awarded, that's when the city will start its purchasing policy requirements. So, okay. So then, we could do 6.2 or 7 would be, the next would be the planning grant for the CDs, and then use the completed CDs to obtain the current cost estimates to perform the scope of work identified. So, in this 7, 8, 9, this is kind of really getting down the line, as you guys can see. But so, yeah, fine tune what is included within the asbestos abatement process, determine the structure will be left vulnerable, like we talked about before. And then during our meeting with I'm on number 8, during our meeting with the state as well, they said, potential phasing might be needed as well, and that may help the grants applications in the future, because we could do a grant for phase 1, phase 2, phase 3, or however many it takes. Again, none of this is ironed out quite yet, but I think that might help. And when we had Kimberly on Zoom, if you guys remember at the historic preservation meeting, gosh, was that January or something like that? She said, from her standpoint, phasing would definitely be recommended as well. So something to think about.
There's something that seems like I recall something in the grants where they ask something about phasing, if it's going to be in phases.
Yeah.
And so you have to answer that question.
Yeah, exactly. Because I think, when the state's shelling out funds like that, they want to know your complete plan and what those funds are being specifically allocated for, right? So, it makes sense if we do have a phasing plan in the future, then we would provide that to the state, and they need to buy off on the whole ordeal, right?
So on that note, let me ask, I know I'm interrupting you on your steps, but
It's okay.
can we, like, either as a group, a whole group, or as a committee, start sometime in the near future and get a game plan going and get the city to tell us exactly what their future use projection is for it and get everything all lined up?
Sure, and I think, Steve, this is what we're trying to accomplish with these steps right here,
Okay.
right? So we want to make sure we follow these steps, and when I was doing this, I was reviewing past HPC meetings and Lori, because I think someone else made that exact same comment, and Lori said, well, we're the HPC, like, if no one else is doing it, we need to do it. So, I think that's definitely in your scope of work and of trying to create some plans and ideas and things like that. So, like we said, it's in the Parks and Trails Open Space Master Plan as a future trailhead, and if we really glue to that, I think that helps our future grant applications too. It's like, hey, look, this is documented. This is a future trailhead.
That's what they want to see.
Well, we have a baseline to build on because it's already been identified
Right.
as a use and it's in the master plan, right? So
Exactly.
now it's up to us to put together the use.
But I think it's interesting, how long have we been talking about this building and we're only now finding out that it was in the master plan for 2023? I mean,
But we do
But we
now know,
operate in
so
silos.
let's
I'm
get
very
some
happy
action
about
going.
that. Yeah,
So,
that's great.
Yeah.
So there's no reason why you guys can't start.
So do we have permission to start the structural assessment grant? Do we have actual permission to do that?
And we wanted to pull Kimberly in.
right, but like I said before, with starting the assessment grant, we're already skipping to step 4. We need to hit step 1,
Yeah,
step 2,
yeah,
right?
that's a good point.
But we can do that pretty quick.
Yeah.
And I agree with you, but we
Got
just want to go in chronological order, if that's okay with you guys.
I agree. I like that.
All right,
We can do that.
I appreciate it.
So, talking about step 1 now, and I'm sorry for disrupting your train of thought, but Meet with History Colorado to receive buy-in on the list of these steps. So what's your thoughts on how we're gonna do that? Did you have something in mind?
I did, yeah. So I wanted to meet with you all first today to get your thoughts on this, and then I can amend this based on our conversation today and just send a quick email to Winter and gosh, I need your guys' sharp minds.
Either Eric or, the guy with a not too common name. I can't remember. I'm sorry. I
But
apologize.
I'll make sure to get the right people, and I know for sure it's Winter and Ann, an email to this, and then, hopefully they can get back to us.
Will
And
you,
maybe just do a Zoom meeting like we did before.
Exactly, yeah, like, hey, here's this list, we want to receive buy-in from you guys, and if we can have a 20-minute conversation on Zoom, great.
and
So,
will you CC everybody when you email them, so?
yeah, I can, for sure. Yeah, the biggest thing on a Zoom call though, gosh,
Does the whole committee have to be included?
no,
Okay.
no. So I can just, like if you guys, because, you guys have been bullheading this and it's not a slide, I'm not saying that at all, I'm just saying, if you guys want to stay involved, then I can just CC you guys and then,
They need to stay involved.
yes,
Yeah.
yeah. And then because if everyone gets on a Zoom meeting, then it has to be noticed. And it, like if every single person in this room hopped on a Zoom meeting, then it's considered an official historic preservation meeting. It has to be noticed, it has to be recorded. We don't want to go through that rigmarole.
Yeah.
So it's like, if we have a meeting with the state, then Steve, you definitely need to be on there to talk about the period of significance, so.
And that's why I was hoping to be included on the CC, so I got time to prepare for this
Yeah,
conversation.
exactly. So, yeah, I'll make sure you're involved. Yeah. So what I can promise you is, let's see, just as far as my schedule goes, selfishly talking about myself for a
As it
second,
should
Friday, what'd you say?
As it should be.
Yeah. Friday the 2nd is my last day of work until Monday the 9th.
What?
Yeah, I think Monday the 19th. So I'm off for 2 weeks in May.
That's one,
So,
2 weeks.
You've got 2 weeks to figure out the
Yeah.
period of significance.
Yeah,
Well, yeah, 2 work
The
weeks.
weekends, yes.
2 work
so
weeks.
you would want to do it after you come back from vacation?
Oh, yeah, yeah,
Okay,
yeah, for
because the
sure.
second is pretty close.
Yeah, because, yeah,
2
Friday,
days,
and
yeah.
yeah, we have to get, so we have to get 3 staff reports out the door that are not finished by Friday at 4 p.m. So.
I think that's reasonable.
Yeah, I do too.
And
So,
it might take 2 weeks to get an appointment with,
yeah,
District Colorado too.
exactly. So it's not gonna happen tomorrow, is what I'm trying to say. And I apologize about that, but
That's fine.
So are we clear where we're going?
yeah, you guys good with this?
I'm very pleased, CJ.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
This is some,
And if you guys think, like, if you get home and you say, oh, I really want to make this comment on here, just shoot me an email and I can incorporate it within the to-do list.
but to me, this seems like the most forward progress we've made where we're actually starting to do something. So thank you.
Sure.
You good? Ready to move on? Okay, anything new on Templeton?
Yep,
Yep, fire away.
just got notice from the students this afternoon. They're making their presentation to the School of Mines next Tuesday between 10 and 2. We've been invited to join them if we want. And they have confirmed that they will get us those points and work with you.
Okay.
We gave them all the information. And so at some point, you're gonna get that information to plot it out.
Great.
So we will have a report on Tuesday of some sort.
And I've got $1,000 donation already, so I ordered a dozen unknown headstones. We're gonna need a few more than that, but I just started with a dozen.
We got a real good response from Silas. He's in favor of what our plan is, which is to put a fence around it, to put the unknown markers, to put an informational marker,
A regular headstone,
at
yay wide, yay
with
tall.
all the history that he's collected for Templeton. And then Silas, in addition, said, put another marker down by the fairway to invite people to walk up there. So I thought that was pretty nice.
Cool.
And Linda got a bunch of scrap lumber. We're gonna make little forms, because the grass gets, from here, the grass gets yay high, so it's our intention to pour little concrete bases, maybe 6 or 8 inches high, and then put each stone on top of that. And then
So
there's,
it'll sit up.
yeah, then there's in my records, it shows where the 4 Templeton children were enclosed with a log structure, 2 log high structure. That's no problem to get those. I got all that at my place anyways, and we'll put that. And one description, the gray right next to theirs was a picket fence, so I'll build some pickets and build a little picket fence and get some kind of split rail or fence around it, or maybe not split rail, but lodgepole pine of some sort, the kind that are like that, and have the horizontal piece go into the next one. Do something like that, but yeah, the golf course is all behind that, so we got a lot of nice plans, and I'm sure it's all gonna come through, and I got a grant applied for $1,250 to the Saddle Club, and hopefully we're successful at that. And so things are looking good on Templeton. The UPass Historical Society has been very helpful.
Cool.
That's it.
Steve, what was the $1,000 for the headstones?
That was actually for my son.
Oh,
His name is Jim. Jim and Louise Plute of London, England, to be precise.
Cool. That's great. You guys made a heck of a lot of progress. Preservation.
Should we let Chuck?
I'm just interested in
Oh, okay,
listening to all
cool,
that
okay.
stuff. When I get bored, I'll walk out.
Okay. That'll be the notice.
Preservation plan, I think we're still got an action item to review the email, one or two that CJ sent us, to kind of see what we thought of the
midterm.
The
And
midterm.
part of my homework from last meeting was to reach out to midterm and pick their brain more about the consultants and timeline and how much it costs. And, you know, these government workers are hard to get a hold of. Just kidding. But, yeah, I have 2 emails in and 3 voicemails into the planner, the historic preservation planner there. So I'm doing what I can.
Okay.
I apologize.
Thank you. Keep on. I know you got 2-week break there, but.
Where are you going?
My wife's family, extended family lives in Charlotte, North Carolina. And her cousin's getting married and she's part of the wedding and my daughter's the flower girl, so, yeah.
Right during tornado season, huh?
Yeah.
I'm just along for the ride on this one.
Okay, next item, Bergstrom Park reimagined. The consultant's been named and actually Cindy has reached out to putting together the I think they're calling it the advisory committee, and they've set up 2 Zoom meetings. I've been invited. Charlie's been invited from the Historical Society. Anybody else invited?
I'm going.
Okay, so it's moving forward. And they're starting with
And that
Input.
first Zoom meeting is May 6th,
5th or
Fifth or
6th, I think,
so,
yeah, it's coming up pretty soon. It's next week, right?
yeah,
So you'll be gone.
I'll be gone, correct.
I have a question on it. I seen the email from Cindy, said, talking to Charlie, inviting him. And, well, actually, it was Kelly Case emailed Cindy telling her that I wanted to be part of that group. And Cindy responded back to Kelly and Kelly forwarded it to me. But it said they have a conceptual plan already, in Cindy's words. Maybe it was a poor choice of words.
Gotcha.
And that this committee, that they want people to offer their suggestions and they would consider these suggestions. So is the plan already made for what they're gonna do?
Yeah.
Or was it again a bad, poor choice of words?
You probably know more than I do.
I
I have
don't.
not been involved in that process at all, and I don't think Karen has either, because this is, you know, headed by the the Parks Department, or, you know, Cindy and her team, so maybe they have, you know.
I got the
I
same
don't wanna-
email that you saw, that's all I've seen. So
Yeah,
I don't know anything.
I don't wanna, you know, speculate on anything just because I don't know.
Yeah,
So
and you're
if
not
it-
Cindy, so.
Right, and if they have a conceptual plan, and then, because, you know, I think that'd be, just thinking about it logically, they want to present the committee with something to
I would think they
comment
want
on.
public input and input into ideas before they come up with the concept, I would think.
Oh,
Unless somebody's already,
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know.
I don't know. I'm sure you'll, find more out on the 5th. So.
So nothing's gone through the planning department in regards to this?
No.
Because, when I went to the DDA meeting, Maharis already had a plan for a parking lot.
Well, but I think that's DDA's vision, is just more parking.
Yes, so,
Right.
so is it, but this is city property who paid Maharis to do the plan. So nothing has been gone through the planning department in regards to a parking lot?
No.
Somebody paid him, because he rolled it out on the table.
The DDA.
Could be, but why would the DDA pay?
Maybe it was a private donation or something.
Anyway, I was just curious about that. Somebody paid it, I don't think Maharis did it just takes and giggles.
We'll find out. We'll know more on the, what'd I say, the 5th?
Fifth,
The 5th.
Okay, drum roll.
the fifth of May, is it?
5th
I
of
got
May.
something, that rings a bell, I got something going on. I might not
Monday.
be able to make
It's
it.
Monday.
Something's going on, I think.
Cinco de Mayo.
Oh, I got a cemetery board meeting in Fairplay. I won't be able to make it. So,
Same time?
it's at 11 a.m., I believe, 11 to 3.
I think that'll interfere, yeah. Okay. Can you check the time? I say May 5th.
But Charlie's gonna be there,
Yeah.
and Lori's gonna be there.
Two strong voices, so good.
Maybe Dave should go.
It's May 6th. My mistake.
Oh, good.
Tuesday, May 6th, and it's at 2 o'clock.
You see,
May 6th,
6th.
2 o'clock. They've got it set up virtual,
Okay.
okay? Who knows? Youth poster. CJ, I'll turn to you because
And I feel like I've been talking a lot today, so I apologize. This is not all about me today. The last time I talked about the youth poster, we met with a gal named Maria with the Parks Department. We had some great ideas. She has since left the city. How'd you know that?
because you were posting, I saw the posting for her job.
That's square one.
We're at square one.
Let's
Okay,
move
let's
on.
move on.
But, like, I thought she was gone, and then you said that she was there, and I'm like, wait, she's still there?
And I didn't even figure this out until today.
Okay, so she's gone, so we're on hold there.
Yeah.
Other business, any update on the old church area?
Not a word.
Not a word. Okay, Voss Building, what we know is that the owner intends to do something, and that's still where we're at.
He's got, I didn't come prepared to answer this question, but I think it was, he's gonna apply for a $625,000 loan or something like that. And, start working on it.
Okay,
Yeah, and the potential contractor that went out there and gave the owner that bid met with Dave Burgess and I in our office and talked about what he saw there, and yeah, it was pretty grim. And you know, that 600 or whatever that figure was just for the main level of the building, and he didn't even be able to go upstairs because he didn't feel safe doing so.
Oh, really?
So that was really just to make it safe, you know what I mean? So he said that would be kind of the first step of a long road. And he reached out to Dave Burgess in our office, and Dave brought me along just so I could talk about the historic designation possibility of it. So I gave him the whole spiel and, you know, how to get it designated, and it's definitely an option. And, you know, if you want to go down this road, I think it was my, you know, part of my job description as this liaison for this board to give him that spiel and, you know, kind of point him towards that direction. So.
Keep in mind brownstone grants.
Right, and I actually talked about the Saving Places conference that I went to and talked about that. So he took notes and said he would pass that on to the owner if, you know, if that's something that he would want to do. So, and I just want to be front with you all that, yes, there are two options, and I know the owner is considering both options, right? Option one is preserve, and option two is to demolish. I just want to let you guys know that's definitely on the table still. It's from what the contractor told us.
Yeah.
So
And there's nothing we can do if the owner wants to demolish it, it's his building. But wonder where he gets his bucks. He just bought Mountain Shadows down there on the west side.
yeah, I don't know.
And he's got the restaurant down here by Joni's too that he just bought recently. And then he's got the Saigon Cafe in Colorado Springs. He's got some money.
Well, I do believe in the process of demoing. I do believe something like the Boss Building, the application comes to this committee. Not that we can stop it, but we do get to review it. If you look at the
Okay.
steps.
And you
We
make
get to review,
suggestions.
we could have a possibility to request a meeting with them, to have a conversation over the demolition of it. To pitch our side of it,
Yeah.
possibly.
And I don't know anything about construction costs or anything like that or abatement, but based on what it cost us to get the bid we got for the abatement of Robert's house, that two-story place with a basement, boy, the abatement of that has gotta be sky high.
From what the contractor said, whatever route this gentleman takes, it's gonna be 6 figures more. You
Yeah,
know, either way,
Regardless.
regardless,
jeez, right.
so. In the planning department, we always say development's a math problem, it always has to cash flow. At the end of the day, that owner's probably gonna make the decision where he thinks it's gonna cash flow the most.
Yeah,
Right,
exactly, and that's the way it should be.
so,
I could just rest at night though, knowing that we all as a group tried everything we can or could to save that building, and hopefully it still is saved and restored. That's the ultimate goal in my mind.
Right.
But if he tears it down, I mean, we all wanna save everything, but it's gotta have a purpose. And, it's gotta be logical and feasible, and sometimes they're too far gone. That's too bad.
so, that's what I know.
Thank you.
Okay, check that flow, because
Yeah.
I think we're in there. Because it was something Sally was involved in with changing the demo.
And do you guys, does your group here, do you guys review like that, the demo of that? Would you be able to review and then make a recommendation to the planning department?
I think that's uncharted territory.
So you're not considered like an advisory group?
I know that back when Paradise was coming up, we asked for Will Brown to come in and talk to us. If there's any way that he would entertain asbestos abatement to keep that lodge. And we had conversation. And there was a building that was raised, it was over there on the west end of town. And out of that, we didn't even know that it was being raised, and Sally didn't even know it was being demoed. And so she got involved with the flow of things, as I recall. And so that's supposed to go through, at least come through this committee.
Do you know
And
if
if
that
it's just
structure was designated?
It was old enough to have been designated, and we lost the historical cabin. Is the building down on the west side. And so that was the impetus to try to get us in the loop, at least know if it was happening, so we could reach out to an owner. And so in this particular case, it's the Boss Building, if they submit a demo permit or apply for it, I think it's writ, the way it's in flow, we would get it and we could have the option of talking to the owner about it, just like we did with Will Brown with Paradise and the lodge, to give it a shot, to talk to him about it.
I
So-
mean, in our charter, part of your powers and duties as the Historic Preservation Committee is to review and make recommendations on any proposed moving, removal, or demolition of a historic landmark.
Yeah.
So I'll do some more research in our code to see if it's specific to historic landmark, and I wish that said designated landmark, but it is what it is, but I'll add that to my to-do list.
Anything
Yeah, it's.
could be a landmark, you know, a rock or that Chevrolet park down the street.
That's true. Anyway, I do know that we have reviewed demo permits in the past.
And they were
It's been a
just
while.
of a building that was 50 years or more or older? It
Yeah.
wasn't a designated landmark?
I think it was 50 years or older, because I think that was the groundwork that we did with our assessments, with our,
Okay. With your drive-bys
when
and
we
stuff.
did our, yeah, I forget the term. Okay. So Colorado's celebrating our 150th year this year, so August 1st is gonna be our 150th anniversary. So you added that to the agenda.
That was Linda's.
Wanting to recognize that somehow, maybe,
I
possibly?
just thought, I know that, isn't Past Historic Society doing something?
Well, I
It's
think
Next year.
that group,
2026.
The Historical Society is celebrating its, I think it'll be its 50th year next year.
yeah.
Oh, okay.
I don't know if anything is planned for Colorado's 150 this year. I don't think it is.
Well,
The group that we're allied with as the west side, of Colorado City and the Pikes Peak, and there's several museums belong to a coalition, I can't remember what it's called, and they're planning the 150, 250 anniversary. And everybody that's involved in the organizations that belong to that are able to attend the meetings and stuff. I was gonna go to the last one, but something come up where I couldn't attend. But I'm very interested in participating in the 150, 250 organization.
So Steve, if you can go to their next meeting, take an action item to bring back to us what's going on, so we can see if we can plug into anything.
Okay. Yeah, because we need to do something.
Okay,
Um,
if you do that, that works out for your
Okay.
schedule, that'd be great. Okay. Eric has already gotten permission and got the paperwork in line for our May Preservation Month banner, right?
Thanks to CJ, right?
Yeah.
Are we good?
Yeah,
I've dropped off the paperwork.
I've been a little behind on sign permits, it's not,
If I can do that Thursday morning.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, and we can keep it up all month at the same location.
Yep.
Is that right?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay,
I
so we're set there. Okay, thank you, Eric
Mhm.
and CJ.
That's
for
easy.
doing
when
that.
I have that, I have the banner in my office, so you can come get it on Thursday or.
That's
Pick it up today, so that-
Might
Eric,
take
where are
it
you gonna put it?
May
Just
20th.
In the old Merritt
did you get
building that Jason Meixel owns, next to Valero, to the west of Valero.
yeah,
And
yeah.
Dr. Reasons is in
Right,
there, and I think
the,
there's something, their youth
the old-
thing.
Yes, the Merit,
We did it last year, so we had
real estate.
and we had a permit, and CJ was great using what we used last year, and I got the signature from the
Right,
owner.
okay.
So
Thank
we're
you.
good to go, and we have a plan.
And that's 510?
No,
Oh, it's not 510?
mm-mm. It's next to you're talking 510
In front of
Reserve.
Taco Bell.
Right, 510 West Mid,
Oh, the address is not, you're
Yeah.
talking about the other building there, or the 510 Reserve that they have.
Yeah.
That's, okay, I didn't remember the address.
What is the address?
510 US 20, West US 24.
Yeah, I just got mixed up because of the
Yes.
510 Reserve.
Reserve, okay. Okay, we're down to reports. Larry, anything to share with us?
UPS Historical Society has tickets for Berry Green Pines online
On sale.
on sale, July 19 and 20. I volunteered to be on the first bus.
All right.
Why? Because twice the bus driver said he knew where he was going and he didn't. And we missed the turn. And we went down half the path with irate human beings. So I could volunteer to be on the first bus to make that quick left over so we don't have irate tour people. And then also behind the Hackman House, I was visiting with Carolyn Quinn, way back when, and she said the building behind you was actually a railroad workers building. Did you know that?
No,
You didn't know it. I didn't know it either.
To
but
the west or
building
north?
Directly behind your
the
place.
cabin right behind.
Right, that was a railroad workers building at one time.
Railroad.
That was she said. We were living in the railroad workers building, wherever she lived. And I had never heard any buildings being established for railroad workers in town.
Wow.
Larry, was that to the north or to the west?
To be the east of the Hackman.
North.
Back across the street this way.
No,
you're saying?
north. Behind.
Behind, you're
North.
north, it'd be north of you.
Oh, well, there is something to the
There's a
west.
cabin to the north, and then there's a cabin to the west.
Not-
Hey,
Not
Jones.
to the one to the west, the one to the back.
To the back, that's on the north side. I
Yes.
own that.
You own that.
Yeah.
That was a railroad housing building supposedly during the Midland times.
Cool.
I didn't know that.
I have block books, they're called, from the assessor. It shows the different additions to Woodland Park, and I got some for Victor and Divide and blah, blah, blah. But I have the year 1900, 10 and up to like 30 or 40, and it shows before they used to record things the way they do now, they'd have a piece of paper and they'd have everything drawn out, each lot, the lot numbers and the block numbers and who owned it. They write in there who the owner of that was, so I could look on my block
Because
books.
what they did with the Hackman house and the two lots, they lopped off the last 25 feet
Mhm.
and put in that cabin. So, because all those lots went back to the alley, which would be Quinn Alley,
Uh-huh.
but I think it's 25 feet they lopped off.
Yeah, well, it should show in 1900 still,
Uh-huh.
who owned those lots, so I'll look that up.
Okay, cool.
Now, Midland Railroad, she said, it was a Midland, I haven't seen Carolyn Quinn in a decade.
Yeah.
She said, well, I lived in this house and the heritage was, when we were living there, it was an old railroad building. And I thought, maybe Lori knows.
No, did
Lori
not know
doesn't
that.
know.
What's
Thank
that
you.
building being used for now?
Got it rented out.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, there was a meth lab in there. So for self-preservation, actually Cal Elder, remember Cal?
I remember.
Dar, no, Cal Elder.
Cal
He
Elder.
used to be on the city council and was a county commissioner. His
His
son-
named after him.
Right, and his son, Mark Elder, got it from his folks, and Mark that lives in Illinois, and he was an absentee owner, and the cops were showing up there like crazy 10 years ago or more.
Around 2006, there were 3 busts in 2 weeks.
That's exactly
Right
right.
down the
And
street
so
from me.
I called up Mark and I said, how bad do you want that cabin? It's an absolute disaster
Yeah.
inside. He says, well, how much will you give for it? So I made a deal with him and then totally remodeled
Oh.
inside of it.
Mhm.
So,
Now you have heritage with it.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
The old loft house on Sundance and on Fullview.
yeah.
Those are the cops were all over the place.
Oh, yes, they were.
May.
Yeah. You see, you knew that it
Oh,
was going on.
well, down my street, and my neighbors are calling, do you know anything that's going on now?
Yeah. Like,
No.
it was fun and exciting times at the time. Okay, is that it, Larry?
That's it.
Thank you, sir. Eric,
I've got nothing.
thank you.
Okay, I distributed the posters. They did not end up going to restaurants. Became a safety cleaning issue, just to put them on the tables. But they went to the Woodland Park Library and they were thrilled. In fact, they were exclaiming as I was leaving the building and how beautiful they were. So they're gonna put them all over the library in various places. And then took them to the UPass Historic Society gift shop. They were also very excited.
Cool.
So we'll see if we get, I encourage them to call the city with any kind of response. So I think if there is any, we will hear something.
You know, we might be able to laminate, because I know you guys have stacks of the older ones.
Yes, tons.
Someplace.
They were very, very, the library especially, I mean, I go to the library quite often, and the place is always packed.
Well, we might consider laminating some of our other ones.
When she had the stack I gave her, had a bunch of the old ones as well.
Oh, did it? So you had laminated some of the old
I
ones
did,
too?
yeah.
Oh,
I think
okay.
the oldest one was from 14 or 15.
I think we've done 9, 8 or
I
9.
don't remember the numbers
8 or
on
9
the
of
first
them.
one was the chimneys at Woodland Park, so if that was in the stack, which is noticeable.
Yep.
Kind of eye-catching.
Yeah.
Then that would be all the way back.
Yep, so I think,
That's a cool
I
one
don't,
too.
I don't
I
think
like
that
that
one was,
one.
I don't think you did that
oh,
one.
I didn't do that one?
Okay. Well, we should follow up with the library and just kind of
Yeah.
keep that in mind.
Yeah,
Cool.
Yeah,
Yeah,
if
they
they
were-
ask, just give them my name.
Okay.
Or
well, I told him to call city planning.
Okay, cool.
Anything else, Linda? Thank you for doing that. Steve?
I got the last, 6 or 7 rocks, headstones ordered for the Woodland Park Cemetery. And that should complete it. This will be our 3rd summer there.
And those are for unknowns too?
For unknowns and some that we know the names that are there according to the mapping, but they have no headstone. But all together, and I got this recorded at home, and again, I didn't come prepared give this number, but we've bought like, I'm gonna guess 40 headstones, and we've prepared probably 40 headstones, existing ones.
Have you gotten donations for those stones?
Elder Davis has been a donor, and then Linda and I are donors
Are
too.
donors.
It's been all, you guys bought us a can of cement. And, well, I'm not saying that to be funny, but I'm saying that, yeah, you know,
And we're
besides
almost out of it.
what we've donated, you
more.
know, you guys come up with that, but all the major monies come from 3 private individuals.
Okay. So you need more.
Well, no, because we're almost done at the city of Woodland Park, so I think you said you'd get it from your other group.
You passed Historical Society money. I haven't asked them, but anyways, and I just told Nicole before the meeting started, I was in talking to Nicole, and she's thrilled of everything, and she's planning on coming out when we put the last 6 in. I'm taking photos and stuff, but she's really tickled.
It looks really nice.
Oh,
Yeah, it
thanks.
does look good, doesn't it? Looks really nice. Hildred's happy too.
Yeah, Elder told me the other day, she says, I just want to give back to this community that's given so much to me. When in reality, it's Hildred that's given to this community so much for 85 years. She's the longest living resident in Woodland Park. She's lived here her entire life, and she's 85 or 86 years old now, so.
Well, I wish we could help more with these stones, our committee.
Well, it's all taken care of, so it's a done deal now.
Anything else? Dave?
Yes, no, I don't have.
Yes, no, okay, pass, okay. And as far as my report, I'd like to thank you guys for the flowers that I got from everybody. I appreciate it very much. It brightened up the 6 days I had to lay in the god-awfulest bed at Memorial Hospital that there ever was.
Thanks for making it back.
Yeah.
Yes.
I actually, it was just Monday of this week that I started to feel better. It's taken that long to kind of just begin to feel.
You look good.
A lot better than when you came to visit.
Oh, yeah, yeah, you were sick.
I was sick. I was a sick puppy. But thank you very much. I appreciate it very much, all you guys. We don't have a council member again. He wasn't at our last meeting either. Bummer. Your report, anything?
I've talked enough today, I think.
You done?
So, I think I'm done. As far as my to-do list goes, actually, let's, real quick, and Amy, I appreciate you including these with the minutes, because it helps me remember. Last month, we're laminate the women of Woodland Park for city council member Smitty on Thursday. I did that, and I don't know if you guys tuned in. Gosh, I even forget what day that was. he handed the poster, the Woman of Woodland Park posters out to the council and kind of gave a brief description that I prepared for him on the Historic Preservation Committee. Reach out to Midturn for their preservation plan, that we already talked about that. The UPass Historic Society involvement for Berkshire Park, we talked about that, so Lori's on it. And ask questions regarding a Facebook page and accepting donations. That was a no-go from our social media person here with the city, so.
We're going through the UPass Historic.
Well, yeah, and I logged into the website and like on your homepage on UPass, it says donate here. I'm thinking, that'd be great, so.
Yeah,
So-
Charlie said that he's gonna set up a special link to our cemetery work within Teller County.
Through the Historical Society. But was there a reason why, aren't there other groups that have a Facebook page? Doesn't Keep Woodland Park Beautiful have a page?
I do not know that. I don't know, I just brought that idea up. And
I vaguely remember they have a page, I thought. I'm just wondering what the reason was that we
Yeah,
couldn't.
I'm sorry, I didn't dive into much of it, but, yeah.
Right.
As far as, updated to-do list for myself, the Roberts House barn structure, I'll keep getting with Rob on that, to see if we do have consultants or, a contractor coming out soon, or if he can get someone maybe to look at it and see if they can get up there safely, maybe we can do something on that. Amend that, for me, the biggest thing is amend that to-do list and get that off to the city, first and foremost, so. Based on our conversations today, and like I said, if you guys have anything tonight or whenever, just shoot me an email and I can amend that to-do list. And then I'll look up that demo permit stuff to see if you guys would be involved, so if the Voss Building does submit a demo permit, if you guys will be involved in that, so.
Yeah.
All right?
It'd be nice to be able to at least bend an ear if that's the direction it's going.
Right.
Okay,
All
I
right.
think, is that everything?
I have a question.
Karen, do you have anything to add?
I do not, thank you.
All right, thank you. All right, I guess we're adjourned, guys.
I have a question
Oh,
though,
yeah.
on the back side here,
Yeah.
where's this on the bottom left? Chimney Park, where's that at?
It's in Paradise.
Oh, okay.
One of those valleys.
Ponderosa, between Ponderosa and.
Yeah, there should be a couple of those chimneys.
On the previous page, Steve, all the numbers are listed out on that map.
What's that?
On the previous page of that, all the numbers are listed.
Oh, okay,
Listed on the map, so you can,
okay.
so 21, yeah.
So is that like, since the lodge chimney's gone, is this to the south where Frank Snell's house was? That big pink, it was a brick house with
No, I don't think it's that
Painted pink.
direction. I think it's gonna be more
up the valley?
up the valley to the north.
Okay,
Up one of the, in fact, I think there were several chimneys left over from cabins
from the
that were
little
up in
guest
that
cabins that
area.
were
In
up there,
fact, they
yeah.
call it chimney.
It's kind of behind the old Paradise Lodge, isn't it? It was kind of an
Yeah.
extension of that.
Okay, so that would be the cabins then.
Yeah, the cabins up the valley. Yeah, for sure.
Right behind
Okay, very good, guys. Thank you very much.
So he gets to that one.
Our next meeting was, you gonna be here for our next meeting?
Yes.
Next meeting, June.
Thanks, Karen.
that.
I'm gonna
Are we
leave.
back on the